Hey folks, today is Saturday, July 13th. It's 5:30 p.m. My name is James. Let's take a look, see what we had last week. And then we'll go through the list and see what might be coming up. So the S&P, this is a weekly chart of the S&P, and we're pretty much off to the races here. I'm showing the weekly chart because this kind of looks like a head and shoulders pattern with a neckline right there, and we're punching through that finally. I thought it was pretty interesting. I guess it was Friday. I think it was Friday. Somebody upgraded Walmart, Home Depot, Costco, and Target. And I'm like, boy, somebody wanted to move the market, didn't they? Because you upgraded a whole bunch of Dow components. So it seemed a little obvious, but it was a good thing because the market was in kind of a funk. It was trying to kind of just going sideways and not really getting going. So now it's moving. So that helped a lot, but I think it was pretty obvious what they were doing. Anyway, the S&P is moving nicely. The NASDAQ is punching over this line, which is all the way from back here. Finally breaking over there. And then I want to show the Dow, just so we can see what all those upgrades did to it. Finally punching over that line, same kind of long-term line. Finally punching over top of that on two really strong up days. So the only one waiting is the Russell, though it has a little bull flag here. So hopefully the Russell gets going as well. But yeah, right now the market looks really good. I did want to show the oscillator real quick. The NASDAQ McClellan oscillator is what it is from StockTwits.com. It's at a 13. Overbought is a 40. And oversold is a negative 40. So it's only at plus 13. So we're nowhere near overbought right now. We've got plenty of room to go, especially after all of this kind of sideways action that's been going on. You know, all this little pausing and this stuff here. And the trend is definitely up. Things should just continue to go up for a while. Hopefully earnings don't suddenly, stall everything if they're crappy or whatever. But we'll see. Trend is definitely up. This market is moving pretty nicely. So I'm going to go through my list here. I'll go through the things that I think are on the verge of breaking out and then the things that have already moved. So CYBR is the one that I bought. I bought this on Friday. It got stopped out and bought it back because it kind of broke out and then dipped and then came right back. And it came back over top of the line. So the thing that I'm struggling with, even though we're seeing the indexes move, is that a lot of these stocks are crossing trend lines on very light volume, which throws me off, which I mentioned before in a previous video. It really throws me off. Something, if you look at Square, EPAM, Chegg, and SAM, when it broke out, volume really spiked. Now, those are like the best moves, but then there's a lot of these other ones that have just kind of melted over top of the line on light volume, and the price just keeps going. And those throw me off because I'm looking for the volume. But on some of these, the price just keeps moving. So with that in mind, I bought CYBR. I thought the volume was really good when it broke over the line the first time. And then on Friday, it dipped back down and came back up. And I bought it there because it had enough strength in the price, at least, to go down as far as it did and come all the way back up. So I bought it, and I'll see what happens with it. This pattern is fantastic. You can see the strong trend in it. And then the symmetrical triangle. I think it looks like it'll definitely go up. It's just a matter of, will it get volume? Will the price continue to trend higher? So that's the one I'm in. I love this one, Carvana. I think this pattern looks great. And I think that once it gets over that line, it's really going to get the volume. I hope. Again, like I said, some of them don't get the volume, yet the price continues to move. So I like Carvana a lot. I think that looks really good. This guy I found last week, DOCU. Again, I think this pattern looks really good. And it's really close to attempting a breakout. Tandem, this one gapped up on some news that the government was going to drop the pursuit of something. Can't remember what it was, but it was healthcare related. And healthcare providers liked it, and so Tandem moved with it, except that Tandem sold off after gapping up. So it's still within the triangle, though. Give it some time, and it should bounce off the lower line and try to get higher again. Here's EW. This is a medical device maker. And I think that this looks pretty good. This is a clear area that I couldn't get over before, and now it's kind of up there again. So give that some time, and I bet it'll challenge that line again. MSCI has this little channel, and it's starting to climb up back towards that high. Basically, the break of the high 246.07 would be the actual buy point. Pinterest back in the list again. Great big triangle. Again, I have a hard time believing Pinterest is actually going to go. I'm putting it in there anyway because the pattern's there. It's an IPO. You never know with an IPO what's going to happen with it, but it hasn't moved before. Like you get these little spike, and then sells off, and then it gets all choppy. So maybe this triangle will do it. Just be cautious if you try it. HUBS, somebody asked me about this one before, and I grabbed it because of the base big triangle there. So give that one some time. Breakout right now is right around, what is that? 184.17, maybe a little lower, but it depends on where it, when the price gets up to that line where that is. So that could change, but yeah, it does look pretty good. Match is in this kind of channel. I've adjusted this line several times, the upper line, but the fact that it came up and gave this red bar at that area kind of tells me that it is that straight line. I had a descending line before, but it couldn't hold it. So I think that this area is probably the best area. So that's right around 74.11. Trade desk had a really huge run there and nice moves back here, but now we're kind of getting this trend, and now the break of the high would be the next buy point, but it needs more time. I would like to see it come up and challenge the line and fail and come back. Maybe not come back so far and then jump up again and break out that time. So I'd give that some time. I mean, if the volume is huge and the price is really moving, if it just kind of climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs and goes to the top and then volume just blasts it through, fine, that's a breakout, take that one. But I think it should probably hit that line again, just dip down a bit, and then spike up again the next day or next couple days, and that should be the breakout. That's what I would hope to see. I think that would be the best possible breakout. Etsy still in this big triangle. That needs a bit more time to get back up to the upper line. Shopify is kind of like Trade Desk. It had a huge run up in here, pulled back really hard, and it's holding that trend line right there. And it kind of held it on Friday also. It needs more time still. Just give it time. But the next breakout would be the break of the absolute high there. So 338.94. CSX I had in the list, and I took it out and then added it back because I was able to readjust this line after it bounced off and spiked up on Friday. And I think this is one of the ones that could go with stuff like Walmart and Home Depot and Target moving up, and Costco. This guy could definitely move if the market's looking to buy those kind of bellwethers, the longer term older stocks. This guy's definitely one that could go. So right now that would be up around 79.40, maybe a little higher, right around where that line is, 79.40. So okay, that's all for the ones that I have that are in patterns that are pending breakouts or that look like they could go. I'm going to try to zip through these. Vive has come up out of the line, but it's not really trending. Just be really careful if you grab that one. Spotify looks really good. PS, again, out of the line but struggling. Just be really careful. You might want to bail out of it if it starts to get really weak. Chegg, this thing looks phenomenal. And there's that one where the volume really spiked and drove it out. That's what I want to see. But you get these other ones where they just kind of roll over the line and the price just keeps climbing and volume really isn't there, or volume will show up the next day or 3 days later. But Chegg looks really good if you're in it. CMG rolled over the line, followed it above, and then it's kind of spiking up again. I still think this thing could go higher. So if you got in from here, your stop should be there or maybe a couple dollars below that. I don't think it even touched that. Still bouncing up the line, and then it finally popped back up $10 on Friday. I think it'll continue trending higher from there. Pega, this is a good example of one that went over the line and volume really wasn't there. The price moved strong, but volume didn't show up. And yet, look at the price continue to trend higher. The volume showed up Friday and Thursday. a few days later. So it's almost like the market is waiting for the price to just kind of move by itself, and then the institutions are jumping on it. But this thing looks really great. That's a nice move. Palo Alto, again, not much volume when it broke out, which was right there. Price is still just hanging out above there, so that looks pretty good. AVLR, this is another one that kind of rolled over the top with no volume, and look at what the price is doing. So that looks really good. If you're in there, my stop would be down there, and I would wait for it to go up and then start to consolidate, and I'll show you one that's doing that. And then I would adjust my stop after it broke that second consolidation. Coupa is another one, moved on no volume or very little volume, right there, and it looks really good. Still looks pretty good. AZPN, this is one that's gapped up, or you actually probably could have bought it there, and that did have volume. So price is moving nicely. It looks really good. Hasn't stopped really to consolidate yet, except unless you call that one really a consolidation. So kind of did. So if I bought it here and I considered that the consolidation and then a breakout, my stop would be about right there where the breakout point was on the second consolidation. That's where my stop would be now. So, and then give it lots of room to fluctuate up there. So Z looks fantastic. Look at that move. That was a bit of a scary day, but it bounced back, so it still looks pretty good. Facebook down here, I actually adjusted that line a little bit. It was kind of between or through these bars, but yeah, that was probably a good buy point right there. And it spiked on Friday after I think it was some kind of a ruling about a settlement, but people like that, so it took off. Momo has a very big symmetrical triangle. That needs a lot of time. I would like to see it drop all the way back down to the lower line and come back up. So that needs a ton of time, but just showing you that those lines are there. Here's the one that I wanted to show you where it breaks out, it had nice volume, came up and has now consolidated and is breaking out again. So my stop would have initially been down here until it came up and consolidated. And then when it breaks out, I would put my stop there. Actually, on the initial breakout, I would probably put my stop $2 below that point right there. And then if the price continues to climb over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then I would just put my stop right there back to break even. So that's how I would play that out. McDonald's still looks really good. Buy point was right in here. Stop $1.50 or $2 below that. As it starts to climb, put your stop to break even, and it looks pretty good. Here's Safe. Here's another one where the volume really wasn't that big. Actually, that volume was big. Actually, this one, yeah, volume was there. So yeah, broke out there, keeps climbing. My stop would be here. This is kind of a little flag, so you could use that as a pause and consolidation where you could move your stop to. As long as the price moves from there and keeps climbing, then I would put my stop about $2 below that point until the price climbs a bit further, and then I put my stop right there. OLED. This guy's moving pretty nicely. So the buy point was there, or somewhere in there, wherever you could get it really, because it was moving pretty fast. And then it dipped down, but it never really came back below that point. So you'd still be in, and then it bounced back up. Paused, bounced back up again. So it looks really, really good. And then ANET is fantastic right now. This is one where I didn't even follow my own rules, so life of a trader, I guess. I bought it here on this day, held, had my stop, I think $2 below. Then I had to deal with this day, and I just exited without it touching my stop, and the actual low of the day never touched my stop. I exited because I thought I was smarter than my rules, basically. I just didn't like the way it was moving, and so I exited. I think that I've learned from this stock that that's a big mistake, for me anyway. I set these rules up to deliberately stop myself from doing that. So when I enter something and I put a $2 stop in, I have to obey that stop and don't do anything, and that's supposed to remove my emotions. So I don't react, and I don't think I'm smarter than my rules or smarter than the market. I just don't do anything. In this one, I didn't. I exited and I missed a trade. So basically, if you had entered there, this thing's moving really nicely, and my stop would still be there if I was in it. It would have moved from $2 below that point to right there at the breakout point. But life of a trader, mistakes, learn from them. So yeah, everything looks good. I mean, the market looks really good. At this point, for me, I'm just trying to get into something that has a nice pattern, and I'm trying to not react as a fear of missing out kind of a thing, because that's when it gets screwed. I've been screwed before doing that, where I'm like, oh, I gotta get into something because everything's moving. No, you don't. You gotta wait for the right moment, the right trade, the right pattern, and all that type of thing. So I'm gonna see what CYBR does. It's the only one I'm in, and I missed a few before, and those are all my fault, or my decisions. But yeah, I'm in CYBR. Whatever you're in, everything looks good to me. Everything in this list looks pretty good. So yeah, this market's moving. Today's Saturday. My next video would be Monday night, and I'll see you then.